Thanks for clicking on the video. My name is Joe. Today, what I'm going to be talking about are 4 reasons introverts are more likely to make it out of the hood or undesirable situations. But before we get into those 4 reasons, I want to pause here and I want to talk about the 4 different types of introverts. And you can see how the personality traits that I describe later on in the video can align with these 4 different types of introverts in some way, some form or fashion. So first, there's the social introvert. And these are people that prefer to be alone, but occasionally are okay with hanging out with a group of close friends or family, small settings, nothing too grand or overly stimulating. The second type of introvert trait is the thinking introvert. And these are people that are usually perceived as intellectuals. They are introspective. They usually find peace in studying, researching, writing, and things that involve other academic activities. The third type of introvert is the anxious introvert. And these are people who get an overwhelming sense of anxiety when they're out in public social settings. They try to avoid them at all costs. They tend to mentally catastrophize social events before they happen. The fourth type of introvert is the restrained introvert. Usually appears as reserved, quiet, and thoughtful. Now these type of people are extremely reliable and they're considered the rocks of their family or their social group of friends. All right, so now that we have those 4 different types of introverts out the way, let's talk about the 4 reasons why introverts are more likely to make it out of the hood. So the first type of introvert that's likely to make it out the hood is the bookworm. And these are studious individuals that do well in school. They're also introspective, as most introverts are. They're not necessarily considered the cool kid because they prefer to read a book as opposed to hanging out with friends. They prefer to study as opposed to socializing with their peers that embrace their environment. So those bookworms are kind of exiled and they're picked on a lot of times and they're regarded as someone who is uncool. These are the type of people that are on the path for those traditional professions such as lawyers, doctors, teachers, and sometimes politicians, the grounded ones. They do exist somewhere. So you want to think about people like your Neil deGrasse Tysons, a well-renowned astrophysicist. I'm pretty sure he was a bookworm that made it out the hood. The second type of introvert that are likely to make it out the hood are the creatives. So you want to think about your Jay-Z's, your Kanye's, your J. Cole's, your Kendrick Lamar's, those type of people. Now, people may seem to think of these individuals as socially awkward or weird. A lot of times they're kind of lost in their own world. And, to a certain degree, that's a good thing because you can separate your physical environment from that of your imaginative, your mental environment. So again, these type of folks are extremely introspective, and oftentimes they grow up misunderstood by most of their colleagues. And being that we're in an environment predicated primarily on social acceptance, it would be viewed as a detriment to one's reputation by mere association with this type of individual who's considered weird. So a lot of people stray away from them. You see a lot of these creatives as loners, and even when they're in a group of friends or a group of associates, they tend to be a little spacey, like they're physically there, but not there mentally. And you can see this a lot of times, with Jay-Z, with Kanye, with J. Cole, same thing for Kendrick Lamar. So think about these people as creative, being able to use their thought, their creativity to make it out the hood and to make an impact in the minority community. The third type of introvert that is likely to make it out the hood It's going to be your athlete. Now, this is something fairly typical because there's a lot of athletes that grew up in undesirable neighborhoods and are able to use their athletic ability to take them far. So think about people like your Kobe Bryant's, although he didn't necessarily grow up in the hood, but him being an introvert, he exhibited these tendencies, and I would say he's a prime example. And when you think about someone like Kobe Bryant, you think about somebody that's self-sufficient, they work well alone, and they adjust where needed. So when you think about a lot of athletes, you think about them as being extroverted, but a lot of times that's not the case. What these people are able to do is adapt to the environment at a given time. So yes, team sport, you're able to collaborate with your peers, your teammates, but after all that is done, you have to recharge your battery by going somewhere, being alone, until the next time comes for you to interact with your teammates or your peers. Again, these are people that have no problem being alone. If you think about, hard workers or athletes that are elite, a lot of times they spend numerous hours practicing alone, and they're able to hone their craft. They're persistent. This is the guy that you see shooting a basketball alone, playing video games solo, or spending time after team practice of whichever sport to practice their craft even more. Now, the fourth type of introvert that you're likely to see in the hood and are usually able to make it out are going to be your entrepreneurs or your free thinkers, kind of go in line with the creatives, but in a different sense. They're usually more reserved, they're socially accepted, and they're usually the friend that you hang out with, and sometimes they say off the wall, outlandish things, and it makes you think about why it is you're really friends with them. But they're cool, so you can let them continue to hang out. A lot of times these folks have association with the well-known hustler or dealer in the neighborhood. So either they may be son, daughter, niece, nephew, or someone who takes the apprenticeship role to said hustler or dealer in the neighborhood. Now, these folks can see a deeper meaning in how things work. For example, they can see the economics and the rise in cost of products or services due to supply and demand issues. They can see the organizational management structure in particularly illegal conglomerates. Now, these folks can easily translate business thought or ideas into language that is easy for them to understand. For example, they may see the stock market, the decline in the stock market as, all right, it's a drought. So what do you do in a drought? You pick up more of the supply for when things start to get back right. Now you have an oversupply of stock and you can still sell accordingly once times are good. Or they may see real estate flipping as making the most or stretching a product that they receive and maximizing on that product to make the most money. So in the sense, using arbitrage where they find the price reduced somewhere else, take it back to a different environment, sell it for more in that new environment than what they originally paid for it, and then profit the difference. So there you have it. Those are the 4 different type of introverts that you're likely to see in the hood and stand the chance of making it out. If you like this content, please let me know. Plan on making more videos. Please join me on my journey. Thank you.